In part 2 of this module, we will introduce trauma-informed care and discuss its 6 principles and their applications in a university setting. Trauma-informed care, or TIC, began as an approach to healthcare that recognizes the impact of trauma on patients' physical and mental health. The concept was first introduced in the 1990s by psychiatrists who contributed to the development of trauma theory and treatment approaches. Originally developed as a response to address the needs of survivors of war and interpersonal violence, the TIC framework focuses on providing care that is person-centered and sensitive to individuals' trauma history. In 1998, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study was a groundbreaking research project that examined the link between childhood trauma and negative health outcomes later in life. The study included over 17,000 participants and found that adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, were pervasive. Individuals who experience difficult childhoods, such as abuse, neglect, household dysfunction, and witnessing violence were more likely to suffer from physical, mental, and behavioral health issues as adults. These findings helped raise awareness about the long-term consequences of early life trauma and the need for trauma-informed care in healthcare settings. In the early 2000s, TIC began to gain wider recognition and acceptance in the medical community, including hospitals and primary care clinics. Unlike traditional medical models that focus on treating physical symptoms, trauma-informed care takes a holistic approach to understand individuals in the context of their life situations. This involves creating a safe and supportive environment that promotes healing and reduces the risk of re-traumatization. In other words, we no longer ask people, "What's wrong with you?" but rather, "What happened to you?" It is important to note that TIC was not designed to specifically address the symptoms or issues related to trauma. Instead, it provides support services in a way that is accessible, considerate, and appropriate to those who may have experienced trauma. Over the past 30 years, the use of trauma-informed approaches has expanded beyond the medical field to other settings like judicial and educational sectors, as well as the workplace and wider communities. Regardless of where it is applied, building a trauma-informed culture involves recognizing that trauma is a common phenomenon in society. It can impact how individuals think, feel, and behave, which is why building systems and practices that promote support and healing is so important. TIC emphasizes 6 key principles of care. They include safety, trust, collaboration, choice, diversity, and support. In the higher education setting, trauma can have a significant impact on a student's ability to learn and thrive in school. The TIC model in education has evolved over time, with a greater understanding of the widespread impact of trauma on students and the need for a comprehensive approach to addressing it. In the early stages, the focus was on raising awareness of trauma and its effects on learning. This led to the development of specific strategies for addressing trauma in the classroom, such as mindfulness and relaxation techniques. There has also been a greater emphasis on the need for systemic change within schools and educational systems. This includes a focus on creating policies and procedures that support trauma-informed practices, and providing ongoing training and support for educators and support staff to recognize and respond to trauma. Overall, the trauma-informed approach in education has become an essential framework for creating safe and supportive learning environments that promote healing and resilience for all students. Let's take a deeper dive into each principle and how they can be implemented at the university. First, safety involves creating a physical and emotional environment that is safe and supportive for all students, as learning is not possible when conducted in a threatening environment. This is especially important for students with a trauma history as they may be more vulnerable to certain environmental triggers, overstimulation, or to perceive situations as dangerous. Physical safety is a critical component of healing and recovery. Some elements to consider include comfort, visibility, and accessibility. Measures for physical safety in university facilities and accommodations include well-lit pathways, security cameras, and crisis response plans. Some questions to consider when upholding this TIC principle include: are accommodations for students private and comfortable? Do the spaces offer a calm and quiet atmosphere that promotes relaxation and minimizes triggers? Are there easily accessible exits? Emotional safety is promoted by creating a safe and non-judgmental environment where students are free from emotional harm. This includes interacting with students in a sensitive and respectful manner. Establishing meaningful and positive connections with students also helps students develop stronger social-emotional skills. Some questions you can ask yourself include: are we offering students the opportunity to express themselves without fear of judgment or punishment? How can we better support students so they can feel comfortable sharing their feelings? Will this interaction show the student that I care about them? Trust is essential for creating a safe and supportive environment for students with a history of trauma. Establishing a trusting relationship can be done by providing consistent and predictable responses to students' needs and concerns. Trustworthiness also means creating a culture of transparency and accountability, where mistakes are acknowledged and addressed. Policies, instructions, and expectations should be communicated clearly and honestly so that individuals feel fully informed. Some questions to consider when enforcing this principle are: are professional boundaries maintained? Do students receive clear explanations and information about tasks and procedures? Are specific goals and outcomes made clear? Collaboration emphasizes the importance of mutuality, working together, and breaking down power differentials. Learning and thriving in school is a collaborative exchange between students, educators, and support staff. Encouraging students to share their thoughts and ideas will also promote their sense of agency and responsibility. This might involve engaging students in any planning and decision-making processes whenever possible, such as on student advisory board or student-led organizations. In practice, some things to consider when driving collaboration include asking: are student input and preferences given weight in service planning, goal setting, and the development of priorities? Do students think this is the best way to help them learn, thrive, and succeed? Choice is a principle that focuses on empowering students. By providing opportunities and tools they need to gain a sense of control over their lives, it encourages individuals to make their own decisions in a supportive environment where they feel valued and heard. Presenting choices and options also give students the opportunity to learn decision-making skills and nurture their confidence and competence. Students should be informed clearly about what choices are available to them, along with the benefits and consequences of each choice. By acknowledging and fostering their skills and abilities, students can feel empowered to navigate their academic and personal lives. You may want to consider these questions. How are students' strengths and skills recognized? How can we encourage greater student involvement in decision-making processes? What teaching strategies can I adopt so that students can learn in the most effective way that works for them? The university includes diverse members from all walks of life with different experiences and identities. Through a trauma-informed lens, embracing diversity means understanding that trauma can look differently across culture, history, age, gender, socioeconomic status, and more. Therefore, policies, protocols, and processes should be implemented in ways that are responsive and sensitive to the needs and circumstances of individuals. Resources should also celebrate and support the diversity of the student population. Embracing diversity requires us to be open-minded, ask questions, and respond in ways that acknowledge students as experts in their own well-being. Examples include asking ourselves: what has or has not worked for this student, and why? Will our approach work for this person based on their background and experiences? Am I the best person to help this student for this specific issue? The final guiding principle of trauma-informed care focuses on compassion and building connection. Organizations that understand how pervasive trauma is and communicate that openly can foster a culture of peer support and connection. This is because people who share similar lived experiences can offer much-needed support, empathy, and empowerment for one another. In the university setting, trauma histories need not be shared openly. Instead, when students, educators, and staff acknowledge their own trauma history and share a mutual understanding of how common trauma experiences are, all members of the community will treat themselves and others with more kindness and compassion. Creating a safe, trusting, and collaborative environment encourages individuals to share mutual support and build meaningful relationships that promote healing and thriving for all. The 6 principles of the trauma-informed care model can guide us in creating an environment that empowers students and promotes their academic success. By upholding these principles, all members will benefit from being a part of a community that is built on safety, trust, collaboration, choice, diversity, and support. Through a trauma-informed lens, we will also see the strengths and resilience that are inherent in all of us.